Welcome to a Fireball Friday workout. Yeah, I got to try to get myself prepared for tomorrow's Fireball Friday, and that's what we're doing tonight. So buckle up and hang on. If you're not familiar with the channel, you're in for a treat or a trick, one of the two. But yes, we're talking about chatterbait trailers. Once again, rod and reel combos. What I found out, didn't find out, and the fact that had dinner and a drink already, and I just want to get this wrapped up before I'm going fishing on Saturday with Charles. And if, as you can tell, I've got this mess out here because I've got so many different new things I want to try out. This will only make for the second time out actually fishing on a fishing trip, not just walking the bank doing some cast testing type stuff, right? So, once again, buckle up and hang on. This is going to be a doozy. So, where to start? Let's start by talking about, let me grab a random, hang on. Let me grab a random color. So, if you guys follow the channel, you know that I've talked for, well, it's been a while now, but like this bait here, the Rage Menace, the Baby Rage Menace has become my favorite kind of all-around trailer for whether it be little jigs, but mainly for chatterbaits is like my favorite, right? And I've talked about trying other ones. So if you guys don't know, the Strike King Rage Tail, they make the Baby Rage Menace, the Magnum Menace, and the regular Menace. I don't think I've ever bought the Magnums. But after watching a few different other YouTubers that are, different stuff, I'm like, maybe I should, see what everybody else is recommending or using. And basically the fact that these new, the smaller baits came out, right? Even more popular now just because so many people are talking about them. We've had the Mini Max for a couple years now, but the new Evo came out, so we're throwing some different, mainly trying to find Elastec type stuff because it'll last forever, to put on our little Mini Max Evos as trailers for our chatterbaits. Even stuff like this on the Yum. What do they call it? Hang on. I got the name right here. I just saw the package. It was with these. You can get these in a few different sizes. The Craw Chunk, 275 and like 3 and something. And also, this is an excellent bait just to rig up by itself on a very small head, and because it swims these deals. But anyway, that kind of stuff we've already had. We've been having for a while. You got to keep the Z-Man Elastec separate from this, any regular plastic like the Strike King. So if you're running your chatterbaits with certain one, and I'm getting these all rigged up because I'm going to go fishing. I don't recommend leaving any soft plastics on a bait for very long, even if they've got salt, especially. But even if they don't, they're just extra spots for water to set for it to be wet, and could typically rust your stuff out, right? So it's not a real good idea. I know I'm bad about leaving baits rigged up, but definitely do not mix Elastec with other stuff. It's bad things happen. You basically ruin 2 pieces of plastic, whatever they're attached to. So through, I think it's Mikey Balls is who I first saw on Gambler, has a few of their own videos out talking about. This one came out. They were looking for an alternative to their Komodo for the regular jackhammers, and then they came out to Komodo Junior, which is basically for the Mini Max, and now which will be the Mini Max, the Baby Jack, and the Mini Max Evo Elite. And then Tactical Bassin, they keep talking about this bait, the Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On in the 425 or even the 375. They're very close. I think the actual tail is the same. It's just a little bit different. Body is a little shorter, like a ½ inch shorter. This one, so far, just look at, like, comparing both of them. This one, I think, is an awesome bait. Just right out of the package, slap it on and go. I think it doesn't need downsize or anything else, so we'll talk about that. And I think this is also good for a regular 3/8, probably even a 1/2 ounce. So this is a 3/8 ounce regular, like a jackhammer or jackhammer knockoff is what this one is. But I've got it rigged up regularly, just like I do the Baby Rage Menace. I don't put all the way on. I just get it to where the head stops, where the basically where the lead stops on these chatterbaits, and that's how far back I like it to go. And I do the same thing with these little Komodo Juniors, and just gives you a little tail, because I've always, I guess, sort of had my chatterbaits kind of compacted. I don't like anything too long sticking out, just for the fact that you're more likely to get short strikes by they're out there just biting on that. Just keeping it a little more compact. So that one is a good bait. Of course, you can always just use your whatever baits that you have lying around, literally. It doesn't take a lot. There's just a few different things you look for, right? So the Kamikaze one, I didn't even realize this. Now, they only had this color. This is the only color they had up at Rogers Sporting Goods, but they were clearing them out. So, and they've got a few more packs, and I somehow unluckily got a pack that literally had, and I'm going to try to show you guys if you can see that. 2 of the baits are deformed. 2 of the baits, the tails, are literally melted, gone, not all the way there. Let me see if you guys can see the other one. See that one? So out of 6, they were only $2, but they had like 5 more packs of this, is what they call the June bug candy. And I was like, I'm just going to get 1 pack to try. Of course, I got a dud with a few of them bad. So there, for those of you that don't know, there's what it looks like, right? Very thin craw, like tails that you rigged up, kind of a swim bait type body. And so what does it imitate? Supposedly, probably a swimming fish. But they could think it's anything, right? So I figured I rigged one up, and these are our jackhammer knockoffs. I'm going to try to get a good view of this color. So that color goes awesome with these purple, I forget the name of what they call this color. But there's our Nobi one, and here's our Jackie Hama one. And this one I cut down, I'll show you that. But I basically cut it down to probably even smaller than what the 375 would be. The swim-ons, you can get every color in the 425, and only half or a little over of the colors come in the smaller size. The smaller size was made on a later date. So what I've done is, I still think that may be a little too bulky for me on, why does it need all that kind of thing? So what I did on this one, since this bait's a touch smaller overall, even though it's not a mini max or anything, but it's a little smaller overall, 3/8. I basically just chewed that thing down with a pair of scissors and cut off. Basically, I cut the head in half. So if you see, there's like an eyeball. So from the tip to where the first rib starts, I basically just cut that in half and then rounded it back off again, and then cut all of the ribs off, just because I want a smaller overall profile for it to hunt and dance through the water better. It should still have about the same presence out there swimming around, but it's going to make it more nimble, right? So I'm just going to try one. I'm going to try these both out. So it's just one thing to add to my collection of things that I need to kind of do a comparison on. Is the the Kamikaze swim on, and then either the smaller one or just the, cut down if I think does it work better or not. What does it do? But that is an excellent color matchup. You couldn't have really asked for a better color matchup. So I lucked out there. If I like the bait, I'm going to order some from Tackle Warehouse, but I will buy the rest of whatever Rogers has. And then this one, I briefly just threw it, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks ago maybe, whenever I first got them. On this one bait, it's the only one I ever put it on, and I just briefly got out casting it around. So can't say yay or nay or what I think of any of these. If I will even like them as much as I do, the Baby Rage Menace or Rage Menace. You just have to put a Baby Rage Menace on one of these 3/8 ounce chatterbaits to understand what I'm talking about. But since we're doing a little pre-workout for Fireball Friday, I'll just kind of give you guys a little heads up. Here's what I do. Now, if you have the big one, if you think you want to put a full size, and you can, is that the full? Yeah, that's a regular one. You know, you want to go all the way up because you think, and you don't really need to go all the way up. On these, the Rage Menace or the Baby Rage Menace, I like to just keep it somewhere like right around there. Right where they're just coming out. I'm kind of making it compact, so it honestly doesn't even need rigged up all the way. But the one I prefer is the smaller one because it lets it jump around. Now, if you're going 1/2 ounce, 3/4, big blade, probably even Z-Man Original, 1/2 ounce kind of thing, you might want to stick with that. You're going to some of these swim jig type thing. Go with the bigger one. The more kick, probably the better. But for chatterbaits, and this one is one I bought. Another one, I've been having bad luck with baits just coming. They're poured wrong. They're poured with like air bubbles and missing stuff, and I don't know. I don't know if it's me or just the world that we live in. We need to get big. We need to get on Big A and get him to get us some baits. Those of you guys who know the channel, you know I'm talking about Big A. I kind of usually just guess. I push it up to where that starts and kind of just guess. But I basically just want just the tip of that, just to hold it on, right? So that, and this is coming right back off because that bait's jacked up. And so you usually end up like that. And I usually trim my skirts up some from that anyway. Like you can literally trim this skirt up to, you want to, don't go past where the hook comes out. You want to still leave that kind of like as camouflage, right? It's hiding the hook. But you can trim that up some, but that's about where I like them to run. About 1 inch. You know, just where they're free to do their thing, and they just sit back there. Actually, Tactical Bass, and there's a few other people that have underwater footage of the Rage Menace or, you know, these the Rage type things, and they've got just a very good kick. Like if you are, because I don't fish a chatterbait real fast. I mean, I can and I will. If I will go slow, and if I'm not getting hit and I'm starting covering water, I get faster and faster kind of thing. But I typically try to go slow, and just the kick in these is awesome. So I'm not going to leave that on there, but we're going to leave it on there for now. So you could also, if you want to go crazy, if you want to go overboard on what you want to do, they've got all kinds of different Rage type kicker, whether it's the craw, the grub, there's all kinds of them, right? So I've also made a few of my own out of other type baits to give them the claws kind of deal. You guys know that deal. So what I got to do now is I got to get all this stuff organized in the tests that are going on. So the purple really wasn't in it, but now I'm going to try to get those out and throw them. These guys aren't even in it. They're the pink guys. They're coming. I've got next week, you're going to see about 6 or 8 different pink chatterbaits. Then we'll be comparing those. There's all different sizes and all that. These guys aren't even really in the mix either, but I am going to be out fishing, and I'm curious to try to get what was my favorite color, and just kind of a casting jig. Not really. It's a mop jig. You could say it's a flipping or pitching, but it's just kind of a jig you throw out there, you know, on the bottom around, you know, where you think there might be a fish, and you want to try to go for the big dude, and you don't want to throw, you know, a shaky head or whatever kind of thing. Then we still have to test. So what I was going to try to do is show you guys all the stuff that will be going out to more or less test, but then also just to reassure myself that yes, it still works. So for instance, the shell cracker color, the Rapture jig, I got to get it out on the water this week. Should be enough of a bite going on. Somewhere I've got my 6 different skirts of bluegill. Going to try those out. And then testing, I've just been going to test because I got one rigged up regularly, and then I've put a small blade on this guy. So we have 1/2 ounce, big full size, you know, normal blade, and then 3/8, but with the small like size of a Mini Max, right? No, actually even smaller. This is even smaller than, let me look. So I just want to see what a little bitty blade will do. It's basically one like off of the, so yeah, see there, this is even a little smaller. This is more like off of the micros. So a micro blade, but it's still thick. See how thick that blade is? So it's not going to give way. I might want to second thought that snap right there, but I think it'll be fine. I just want to see what it swims like, so I'll probably put another one of these Baby Rage Menace tails on it and get it out on the water for hopefully a more subtle but a swim that's not quite like anything we've already been out fishing. And where's the other bait? Oh my gosh. I just was looking at it. Oh, here, it's up here. So we still got to get these back out and retest them after I straighten the blades back out, and I made sure the paint, like it's freed up just to see what they swim like. So that's another test that's going on. So we got 1, 2, 3. Still want to try that out. Oh, well, we still... Oh, these guys, I'm curious to just see what they do. Now, I've thrown these just by themselves, hoping that this furry stuff, and the skirting would be enough, but I'll be honest, I was not impressed. So we rigged them up. They're about the right size for the little TRD bugs and crawl. So we're going to try those. Should be that color. These colors should be working too for that little finessey jig type bite. I'm going to try that on the 803. And we still got our Rick Clun stuff. The jigs, the cheapy jigs. Try the skirts before I rip the skirts off. I didn't buy. I went to Roger. I was going to buy a 3/8 and a 3/4 ounce in the Trickster, but I'm like, dude, I'm just going to keep. I've got 4 more spinner baits coming from AliExpress because they were only like $250. They're the ones we already bought we bought the bigger size. I bought the lighter ones. I'm going to try those out first, and I'm going to keep trying this guy and this guy and just wait until I get to a spot. I haven't really thrown these where there's fish yet just to see, and deeper water. I just brought these out to our little test pond that's only like 2 or 4 foot deep, and I felt like I couldn't really get these working like I want them to in that shallow of water. They need a little bit deeper water to work the way I think they will, but I got to get those out compared to basically maybe not this color, but to our SV3 knockoffs and the Z-Man sling blades or whatever they call those half-ounce, a few of them that I still have of the bluegill color. Just to throw the spinner baits around. I'm going to try to do that on Saturday. And this is all like soft plastic jigs and spinner baits, and I don't really even need to test my hard bait game is solid. I know what I like and what I'm going to use. I just got to weed out some baits before I can justify buying the new ATVs and the bigger sizes because I got so many of the smaller bigger regular baits. But the ATVs from Bill Lewis, they're my favorite square bill. You guys know the deal. The Booyah hard knockers, even the one knockers, are still my favorite so far. But the Quake, is it the Quake 70? Whatever the size is of the 3/4 ounce roughly to the Booyah is my favorite of the 6 cents. So I'll probably be replacing most of those. I've only got a few, and I don't think they're in my other box, in my actual rattle trap box. This is my day box up here. But between the two, either of those you can't really go wrong with. It's just harder and harder to find the Booyah. It's like they're almost like they're not, like they don't want to sell the baits to us is what I'm getting. But then of course the Mega Bass Vision 110 +1 Junior is my favorite jerk bait at the moment in multiple colors, but that is a very good color right there. And then probably these 2 colors. It's all you need. Throw this and throw that. If they're not hitting those, just fish something else. Like they're not hitting, dude. They're not hitting, dude. Fish something else. They're not hitting jerk baits. No, I've got a whole box of jerk baits, but honestly, if it seems like the jerk bait bite is difficult to get going, I just abandon it and go try something else. I don't like try to get on a jerk bait bite. I would try it And if it's there, I'll fish it until it feel like it's not there, but I don't like try to go get on a jerkbait bite. It's usually, you can kind of tell. Like, you can just tell when fish get suspended and they will whack those jerk baits. Just like when you're on a square bill bite. Like, I start throwing square bill around wood, and they'll either start hitting or it usually doesn't take long to figure out if they're on a square bill bite or not. And then, of course, my favorite color ever made, designed, whatever, that's very hard to get this exact color. Well, not this beat up, but the Mega Bass Pop Max Excelente. If you're looking for a very small, I don't even think you can buy them anymore, unfortunately. The little, was it these are the John Koo, and this color for sure too. That little John Koo has caught some big bass. A little bitty old bait, but that sucker, man, I've caught several big bass on it. I've caught way more fish. Any bait in my box, I've caught more fish on this bait, or I had an identical one to it and I lost it, but one of the two, or both of them combined, has caught me more fish than any one single bait in my tackle box. Just because one day, like, I've picked it up and never put it down, and I probably caught over 150 bass in one day, and that was, I'd had it a while and already caught I don't know how many fish, period. When they get on this thing, or when you slow down and fish it, it's on it. This little dude right here, though, like Finesse BFS, like, it's hard to beat. I probably like it as well, or maybe better than a little baby Pop X, which I've got a few of those floating around somewhere. I don't think I got them here. And one other bait that I talked about a long time ago, I don't talk about it that much. Every once in a while you hear me talking about Dr. Frankenstein. That's Dr. Frankenstein. Because it's such a goofy little bait, and I don't know. I pictured the old school Frankenstein, just the colors with like the, metal bolt sticking out of his neck. And this thing is like a beast. Crazy big hooks. Like, it shouldn't be that big of hooks on the bait, but you can throw that little dude out and it will flat stick. It's not a giant catcher. It's not going to catch you giants, but it'll catch you like all different kinds of bass. Will just flat tear this up, and especially that color, but they make it in a bunch of different colors from AliExpress. And when you actually get it and the hooks are smaller, I don't like it as well. It still works, but I think the hooks help kind of drag it down. So when you start fishing, it gets it a little deeper, almost like it actually hinders how it works, but that actually attracts the fish. Attracts the fish. It's hard to explain, but I like that little bait with the big hooks. That's why I never switched them back out. And the Digit is definitely getting replaced. I still got some in here, but the old Cabela's Digit is now officially, I just have some. I probably need to, once I get out this season, I feel like this winter's never going to end. I feel like we can never get in truly in spring. If you told me it was going to snow tomorrow and we're going to get 10 inches and it's going to get down to minus 15, I'd probably believe you, because it's been one of these winters. But this dude right here, I now, like, yeah. Game over. ATV 1.0 has replaced the Digit, but we still have some of the Digits. I probably should just put them up. Someday they'll put them in a museum. Cabela's Digit that nobody would continue to make. The closest thing I found before that were these dudes. But then you can't get that color anymore. I have a few of them in this color. You can get a couple other colors, but that color is like dynamite and murky, dirty water. This color right here. And I believe, is that another John Koo bait? I can't remember now. It doesn't say John Koo anywhere on it. But that may have been one from John Koo. Definitely awesome little square bill that you cannot get anymore. It's smaller than all of them. So the 1.0 is a very little square bill. The Digit is very little, but it is still not quite as little as that little guy. That's probably like more like a 0.5, and this is probably somewhere in between. So, yeah. All right, enough about those but like my hardbait game, I got like, boom, it's done. It's done. Chatterbait game, it's honestly done. I just got to figure out what trailers, like, kind of fine tune it. Because here's the thing. Even the Baby Rage Menace are like $6, $7 for, was it $9? I don't know. I definitely hate the thought of putting $1 in each bait that after 3 to 5 dinks is going to be gone. and there's a dollar, and there's a dollar, and there's a dollar. Then, and you know, like literally, if you guys remember the place me and Charles were going, if I get on a bite like I did with the square bill, I could go through a whole package of baits, which are like, oh, that's no big deal. It's $5 or $6. Yeah, but then I got like track down a new pack, and I don't know. It's the whole thought of it. I like the idea of finding a last tech. The problem is I've watched also the underwater footage. I went back and rewatched Tactical Bassin was doing it, and they did a goat and they did a rage menace. And the difference in the kick of the tails, the goat just like sits back there and you're like you can tell it's being drug. This thing kind of kicks. The rage menace has a like almost a live kick to it. The goat's like, and a lot of other ones like you can tell a lot. And like even when I just pull them through the water, coming back at me in clear enough water, the way the jerkiness of when you've got a baby rage menace on the back of one of those 3/8 ounce, it can't be touched with so far anything I've had on the back. Even probably, I bet you these guys aren't going to touch it either. It just has this weird, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's like having the pintails, right? It's like if you put one of these little bitty pintails, which you could also use this, you know, that they keep making the chatter spike and whatever. So I will say I'm going to probably buy some more of these. I almost bought some today. And I hate the fact that I like the bigger ones because you only get 4 for like $5 or $4.59 or whatever. So the 4-inch, is it the 4-inch? The 3.5-inch are, I think, two. Let me see if I got one. Yeah. So even for the Mini Max or the whatever, like I think that's too. I like the idea of the bigger one better and then cutting it down and that back there jumping around, even on a small bait. So I don't know. I haven't decided for sure, but I might end up, let's see, these look horrible sitting like that. When you cover the body up, like I just feel like that should be bigger, even though this is compact size. Like I would be better off to use a little longer, just a pintail in my opinion. But if you use, so what I'll probably do is just buy a couple, you know, stick with that. Honestly, I could have left that one a little bit longer. And I can always take it off and just rig it a little bit longer. But I think your tail needs to be at least that big. I think that it may as well be a little pintail. But honestly, if you just get one of these and rig it up sideways, I think it's even a better option. It cuts through the water, like just pretty much like you can't tell that it's back there. But then when you go slow, it just kicks like what these won't do. You just have to trust me. Now I'm gonna get out and test them. And if one just kicks in and is going crazy over the others, if I'll stick with whichever one just clearly is dominating on, any given day. And if they consistently show, day after day, it gets bit more. But I'm telling you, so far, the Baby Rage Menace is still the one that has to be beat. We won't know on these. Or just as zinkers. Like, honestly, it's that simple. You just cut down zinkers and put it on the back. That is a very, you can't hardly beat that. So I just got some of these other, options to try. And we're going to go with those. And I figured I would give these a shot because I heard it actually wasn't even Tactical Bassin. I forget the guy's name, but he's with Monster Bass or whatever them. Some of these YouTubers, there's like 4 or 5 of them. They kind of put in videos together for this one bigger channel or whatever. But that dude was on there talking about him, how he fished the one. And he said that you can pretty much put one soft plastic. I got that a little bit off. But you can put one soft plastic on and fish the day with it, which I don't know. I don't know how tough and durable, but I'll find out. But yeah, if I could put one of these on and I'm out there fishing and it makes it pretty much that whole day, and then I put another one on the next day at 50 to 75 cents a piece, that's fine. So far, everything I've tried over the years, and I'll go through that real quick, like whether it be the baits from Bass Pro Shops, the Elite Chunks, the Right Baits Little Fuzzy, the Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver, or Smalley Beaver, you know, all these different soft plastics other than a Zinkers or pretty much anything Z-Man that you put on. Like they're literally a 3 to 5 fish, and they're probably either one or two things happen. They just get to a point where it won't stay on, or one of these falls off and they don't function as well when you're missing one of those. Or they get ripped up enough that they just won't hold on straight, and you need to change it out. So I was hoping that my old buddies on Meredith Baits would make one, and we're still Big A. I haven't really talked to him in a while. I don't know if Charles has or not. I mentioned that to Big A about having something that is like the got, and I think it's just the fact that they make these tails so thin, but then so sharp. Like the detail. See how if they that lets them just catch the water the right way, and they just got a good swimming action. I mean, it's not rocket science. Anybody could have done it, but just the way they've got those and the shape, it's a good job. They work good. So anyway, if nobody's got any questions, this little half-hour video, I just got a pink live target mouse, Walmart for $10. Pink mouse. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that or not. Walmart does occasionally get some crazy stuff in. I did just see, I went to Bass Pro Shop, or no, sorry, I went to Cabela's on my lunch break today. And then I went to Rogers after I got off work. But I almost bought it, like, because I've seen them before, and then I also heard a YouTuber talking about it. And I'm like, I don't know if you guys know about it or not, so I almost bought one just to show you guys, because they have a little bit of a pink version up there, but I can't remember the name of it now. But there's basically, Z-Man also makes another chatterbait. That's all we need in the chatterbait world is another chatterbait from Z-Man, but it's in the Bass Pro House brand, basically, and it looks similar to an original with eyes on it, basically, but they've got several different colors, and they're only $7.99. So, I mean, is it a legit chatterbait? I'm sure it is. I'm sure it'll catch fish. Is it one you need to add to your arsenal? Probably not. But the pinkish one I almost bought just to get it, to show you guys, and it was like $8. I would try it, but I talked myself out of it. I didn't buy anything from Cabela's today, and I only spent $2 for this pack up at Rogers. I almost spent a lot more, but I'm showing you guys my discipline. I have the ability to say no, unless it comes to Fireball. And then I have to say yes. So, let's talk about rod and reel combos one last time. The video you guys, which video did you guys watch? Okay. So I put out the video where I was comparing the Tatula blade combo versus the, what the heck did I put that up against? Oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind. Where is that combo? Am I losing my mind because I put those up? Oh, the 803 NRX Plus, because I wanted to see if it, a couple years later, have I kind of rechanged how I, what I think that rod feels like. I won't know for sure until I get out and catch fish, but they supposedly have done something different to make it the Plus other than just changing the reel seat, right? So I figured, what the heck? I got it back out, started throwing chatterbaits with it, because I fished it for like a whole season with chatterbaits, cussing it because my hookup ratio was probably 60, 80%. It was not good. So I'm like, what the heck? We're going to get it out, try it again, because it is a excellent rod. Can I do it? How can I do it? Probably not my favorite for that. But then today, the video that dropped this morning, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. I was basically just comparing, I was trying to test this bait out, and that's when it sucked, and I realized that I'd taken my pliers and I bent this in to match up to how all your other chatterbaits come nowadays, except for There's a few that don't. The Raptures, the Omega Custom Tackles, those are still flat blades, and there's several others on the market. So I was like, you know what? I bet I screwed it up because this thing didn't want to work right. So I straightened that back out, and then if you guys watch that whole video, it evolved into, I kind of realized the fact that it was freeing up the more I cast and reeled it. And it still had that thing, though, that I could only go so fast before if I went any faster, it literally stopped vibrating, which is kind of opposite of what jackhammers and any knockoff or Z-Man originals do. As soon as you start going faster, it'll get more intense, and then it literally, like, basically blows out. And this thing, you just go faster, and it just all of a sudden it goes dead, like you can't tell what it's doing. So, but I hope I fixed that, and then we also, wherever it's at, I've got a smaller version of it that we're going to be testing too, somewhere. Oh, this guy, 1/4 ounce, straight blade. Still got to get a good trailer on him. I'll probably put, I don't know what I'm going to put on him, to be honest with you. The last, I do want to talk about the other trailer. Where's that bait at? Oh my goodness. I almost bought a whole, there it is. I almost bought a whole, like, bunch of different colors of this one. I almost bought everything they had up at when I was at Cabela's. And I still might, but I don't know if I might just order them from. This is an excellent trailer too, because it's, I want to say they're $3.99, and you get like 8 of them. But these little finesse shads or whatever they're called from Z-Man, they've got quite a few different fishy colors. And just to put on the back of these little Mini Max Evos, or probably the Baby Jack, this is one of the only baits we caught. What did we catch a fish on? Where'd it go? In the video I've already got out, we basically were out fishing, and we managed to catch one on wherever it is. I've got so many baits floating around. Is it in my hands? So we managed to catch him on the little bitty Evos with the new little bait, and this guy also caught one too. But this just has that look of a good profile. It's kind of the toned down version of, you know, some of the other stuff we're running on these baits. But for $4 for 8, that puts you at 50 cents a piece, and I guarantee you that bait will make it all the whole probably week of fishing these little baits. So you get, and they got good colors that kind of match up with a lot of these different Evo ones for sure, and you know, a lot of the different smaller baits. But so I may buy more of those just to have on hand. And then I think I like the idea. I know, although this is little, I think I like the idea though of the bigger tail, because it right there, it's basically a fish's tail for sure. That's the only thing it could be. When you get the bigger version, you start entering the point of, does it look like that, or could it be a crawl thing, or you know what I'm saying, kind of deal. I don't know. I just, in my opinion, that the bigger one has a more appealing look to me, unless you're just looking for that straight, small, little pin type deal. Then these actually aren't a bad little option. These little shaken head Z-Mans, because they'll last a long time. So the video you saw, I was testing that out. And I was using 2 rods basically, and kind of comparing them on the feel and all that. And the Tequila Back Rack or the Dobbin 704, it's really hard to tell that if, it's hard to explain, but I would almost swear, almost, not 100% swear, that the 704 Dobbins is a more sensitive rod when you're just jig fishing. So if you're just throwing something out and you're like wiggle, wiggle, reel in a little bit, wiggle, wiggle, reel in a little bit, with not any kind of load on it, like this rod is very sensitive. And it's very sensitive once you pick up, you know, and it only gets as good or better while it's moving. It's not like it dies down, you know, once you start reeling like a chatterbait or anything. But I wouldn't call it as sensitive as an NRX or nothing like that. But I would almost say that it's either as sensitive or more sensitive than the P5 tequila baccarat, but not once you are using this for any kind of a moving anything, then it's almost like it's no contest that these P5 rods are like they're easily. I think they're either as good or almost think they're better than NRXs for anything moving. It's hard to explain. I've heard. I was watching a video today. I heard Ben from Hookup Tackle talking about it too, and he's like, I think he was fishing with the BMG on the with the mag drafts or whatever. Those P5s, until you've had one in your hands and fished it, they're just hard to explain the true sensitivity of them. But I would say that the Dobbins, the Elite TI, and even my Poison Adrena are roughly around that same sensitivity. The Poison Adrena, it's hard to. It's a very sensitive rod too. They're also sensitive, and that's what I guess what I'm trying to let you know is. And if some of you don't understand what I'm talking about, once you get up to this certain higher end rods, they're all sensitive. They're all gonna, you can detect ticks. You can detect when the spinnerbait. The blade changes or whatever. If once you're in tune, once you're once you're paying attention to how it goes, and you get the feel for how that thing feels when everything's going right, and then when something changes, you can feel that. And on the higher end stuff, and it's usually the lighter, the faster action to a certain extent, the more you may transfer through to you or whatever, but. The video you're going to see tomorrow is just a whole 50 minutes of me talking about that while I'm throwing these spinner baits. So I just thought I'd give you guys a heads up on that. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. I don't blame you. But I am throwing this thing with the double Colorado double stainless and gold. It's like Yukon Cornelius in the what is that? The land of wayward toys or homeless toys or forgotten toys or whatever in the heck they were doing in Rudolph. But all these spinner baits, I was just throwing different ones with the 4 rods. So Super Destroyer, Elite, TI, the other 6'10" medium heavy Lose, the Signature Series KVD jerkbait rod of all rods. But it feels fine too I like it for spinner baits. The Poison Adrena 611 medium plus. And did I throw? No, I don't think I threw I was wanting to throw the Dobbins 704. I don't think I ever made it that far. I was just doing a lot of stuff and my hands were freezing. It was cold that day. So, but I did get out and test them all. And I'll be honest, very honest. Let's just call it. Let's call it like we see it right now. As of right now, the standings, where I'm at, on my combos. I love this combo, Chatterbaits. I love that Tatula reel. It's just hard to beat for the money, but how well it works. And also I was out casting around, and I realized that I did have it too tight. If you guys remember, I talked about it the video day before yesterday, whenever it came out, and this one will not focus. Oh my God. So I had it on 4. I guess it was windy the day I was using it. Or I was using it on a whole different rod, I believe. So I went out today and put it on 3, or I put it on 3 last night, and I said I'll just so I wouldn't forget, and I was casting it, and definitely better. But I put it on 2, and it got even better. But then I backlashed, so I put it back to 3. 2 is free, and I think I just cast a little too hard. So what's weird is almost every reel that, whether it's Daiwa or whatever, it usually ends up on 3 for me. I'm going to check these others to see where I ended up on with those. Now this thing is on. Now I may need to change it. This thing ends up on 5. I think that's 5. 6, I believe that's a 4. So the new Steez on the Poison Adrena, but I may need to double check it. It may be able to be turned down. I don't know. So yeah, the Lose, this thing cast awesome right there. It's just loud. Let's look at that. And maybe it's just the fact it's braid on all my stuff, but that's a 3. It just seems to like it there. The let's keep going. Let's just go down the line. This is what they isn't even a playing deal. Yeah. All of these have different breaking. That is, I think, 3 or 3.5. That lose cast awesome. And maybe the fact that I'm throwing like the half ounce, 3/8 half ounce, chatterbait, spinnerbait type deal. There's only one. This dude's like way off the chart. So he's on 8, I believe. And this is the HLC that I made some modifications to. It is just always never one to like, it was crazy. Now it casts awesome, but it definitely is like a whole different level where it sets at. I switched the breaking around, but it's still probably one of the freer reels. I don't know that it would cast further than all my others, but it's definitely got a chance at casting further than all the others, a hyper long cast. And then, yeah, this one, number 3. And there's only one more on this side of me to check. So, as you can see, I don't know if it's just a combination of me, my casting, how hard I cast, or whatever, that, oh, did I switch that? Looks like we're at 4 with the zillion on this. What was I throwing? Oh, I was throwing these bigger, a little bit heavier baits. Maybe is that why I put it to 4? Or maybe it was just on 4. So I like to set it and forget it, but I'll be honest. Sometimes if you're out in real windy conditions and you're set wherever, and then you get out and you're not in windy conditions that day, you can make a click there, but then like leave it for the day. So if you get out and like, unless I knew I did something stupid, if I just go out and I have a backlash or, overrun, I'm like, oh God, like I think sometimes it's literally due with the temps can affect just how this may sound dumb, but how freed up your reel is. So you may be like, okay, if they have the ability to go 3.5 instead of 4 or whatever, one little click this way or that way can make a world of difference. So, no need to look at the others. The other 2 are both. No, wait, the other 3. Wow, that's all those reels you just looked at. None of those are my Steve's Limited. They're all over here. Let me take a quick gander. And these are all turned up. So that's kind of weird. Huh. I never really paid attention, but I'll just show you. So there's I was wondering what I did with that, the Fire Tiger chatterbait when we were doing the comparison deals. Where's that other one at? Oh, this guy right here. That's another one of the comparisons. I'm going to just see if is it even worth changing all these skirts around, or you just buy these crazy Fire Tigers and catch as many. But anyway, that one's set also at like 9. So that's a Steve's Limited shallow spool on the 803. Let's just check that. Let's check everything while we're checking. So the Steve's seem to be set high. And okay, that's at 9. You guys just have to take my word for it. And this is 7. Wait a minute, let me check that other one again. Let me check. Is that 7 or 9? Yeah, so the this is the, I'll try to show you guys. See that? This is the Conquest. So the 7, what is that? 780, whatever in the heck that is. It's upside down. So the 10-pound test line is what I run on it. Oh my God. 782 MBR. 10-pound test. I've got it rigged up. And some reason it likes it at number 9. But then this dude, that bait has gotten nasty. That's what I got rigged on it. And this is the, if you guys can see that. Ah, come on. You had it there. You were so close. You were so close. You guys make that out. 7 on Steez Limited, also shallow spool. Oh, the other one, I know why it's a little. That's the 802 jig warming rod, 6'8", extra fast medium. This, yeah, these are the. That's kind of weird. One's on 7, one's on 9, and then the other spool is the. Let me make sure. So I think the other one that's on the Conquest is actually the the AliExpress spool, because I took the deeper spool out of the regular Steez. Let me double check. Yeah, so this one also on number 9 is the. Let me show you, in case those of you the non-believers. Come on. Let me sit down. Well, let me sit down for this. I'm trying to. Well, what in the world? Trying to show you guys that this is the spool from AliExpress. It's like 35 bucks. But an excellent spool so far. So yeah, got these babies ready to go, set for action. And I guess I hadn't really been paying attention to where I ended up that all of the Steezes are turned up higher than all the other Daiwa and Lose. One, two. I don't even know how many I got now. 1, 2, 3. Oh wow! I've got a lot of Daiwa reels. I just was adding up the Steez. Just the Steezes. My God, that's 5. 5 Steez. That's a Tula. And the Zillion. And then 3. Am I missing a reel? Got 3 Lose reels. So yeah. All right, let's keep it. Whoa. Well, Jim F., if you want a P5 Dark Sleeper, you need to talk to Brew Tank. I think Brew Tank was trying to trade me the Dark Sleeper for one of my Steez reels, but he'd have to give me some boot. But old Brew Tank, I believe, has a Dark Sleeper. I kind of want one, but I don't. I've been debating. You guys let me know if you've tried the new X10s. I can't make myself buy one just because I have yet to see them in person. I think I went up to Shields and they had one of the spinning rods, but I would want to at least put my hands on a bait casting rod just to see and looks of it, because I'd felt a P5, and then I ended up buying the Super Destroyer here locally from a guy, and I actually got a real good deal on the Super Destroyer and one of the Steez Limiteds from him, like an awesome deal. One of those deals, like, man, I wish I could get more local deals like that, right? You don't pay any shipping, so they give you and you help them out, and they help you out, and it's an awesome deal. But then after that one, I'm like, dude, these P5s are legit. And the blade, by far, just for the power, short, but what it can do, my favorite probably rod of all time is the Destroyer P5 blade. The Super Destroyer is one of those, it's hard to explain because it's on like the next level up. So it can't, I don't like the versatility, because I throw lighter baits, like the 3/8, then a half, and then no bigger than a half is where, like, that blade is. You can go a little smaller. You can go 1/4 ounce, with like a Texas rig, and then soft plastic, or this and that. It can go around. The Super Destroyer, man, that thing needs to be like, It'll throw it too, because I actually did. I think one of those biggest fish I caught was on, I'm not sure if it's a quarter ounce, but I rigged up baby brush hog and caught like a 6.5 pounder with the Super Destroyer. So it can go down there, but the pure like the fun factor and fishing small baits, and it can go a little big, is just the blade over the Super Destroyer. Super Destroyer, you need like a 2 pound fish or bigger to start having fun with that rod. I mean, you can have fun, but you guys know what I'm saying. The power of it. Same thing with like what the Dobbins is, the Tequila Baccarat. Like, unless you're going to be on some sort of a little bit bigger bite, the thing I like about the Elite TI so far, the blade, and even the Poison Adrena for that matter, the 611 medium plus, you can get on, not quarter pounders with cheese, but you can get on some, not Dinksville, not the mayor of Dinkstown, but you can get on small fish bite and still be having fun. And then when you do hook into something bigger, you're still in the game, and their power's there. That's what I've kind of evolved into. That's what I like. Now, don't get me wrong. I still like the idea of my Kying Teton, but that BFS to where like you're just holding on for dear life the minute a 3 to 5 pounder gets on the other end. I like that little more security in some of these other rods, and the little fish are still fun too. But as much as I like those rods, they are expensive. And even though this rod is expensive, but I'm going to give you guys an alternative. So this right here is awesome. This is an awesome combo. Got a deal on it. And what's funny is, and I'm going to tell you this story because they end up, is that a scratch or dirt? Let me look. I can't tell. Oh, that's grass. I was like, you got to be kidding me. It can't have scratched that easy. It was grass. They cleared these out at Rogers. I gave them $3.49, I think. I think $3.49. They got them back in stock again. I'm like, what did you guys do? You cleared out the few they had, and then now they got brand new ones up there again for $4.99. And I'm like, dude, those are $3.99 everywhere right at the moment. I think they're still $3.99 at most places. So I don't know what they're doing, but I like this reel, but you never catch me paying $4.99 for this reel, period. Not $3.99. I'm not ready to spend $3.99 for another one because, well, there's a couple options. But no. But for, I don't know if I'd pay $3.49. Yeah, probably, but $300 for sure. If they ever get one or I come across a deal, even if it's got a scratch here or there, I'll probably would give $300. I like the reel, cast good, the braking system. We looked at it, right? That crazy, there's no brakes, but there are brakes. The magnets are like way up there high. Kind of like Shimano, but not really. I don't think these are dynamic. I don't think they really move, but it casts excellent. The problem is the little bit of the cost and the fact that they make a couple other reels that are actually probably just as good, if not better. But the combo together, the Elite TI with all of the grip, the rod, the lightweight, this is excellent combo. I gave like $3.49, $1.99. 6'10" medium heavy. But I'm tempted to buy, they've got another combo, and you guys have seen this, and I know some of you would be laughing. But if you're just wanting a rod that can do a lot of stuff, I mean, you can probably throw the little mini maxes. I don't know about, like, I probably wouldn't hesitate throwing these little guys. You can get the little Niobes on it, but they've got a 6'10" medium, the Mock Jacked or whatever. That rod and reel combo actually feels good it's got like a fairly soft tip. It's a little softer than like my X Pride 6'10" medium, so it wouldn't be good for jerkbaits. It's got a little too soft of a tip, that kind of thing. But for like smaller cranks, those little 1.0s, I wouldn't be afraid to throw a 1/2 ounce rattle trap or these little 1.0 square bills, the little small mini maxes, that kind of stuff. And that combo, though, it's got the good grip just like this, Mock Jacked or whatever it is. That's an awesome little combo. It's like $2.59. I don't know how sensitive the rod is, but honestly, it doesn't have to be that sensitive. If you You know, for that price, the reel's probably $149 reel or whatever. So you're under $100 in a what seems to be a pretty nice rod. It's got pretty good components. It's got the same reel seat, but I don't think it's not a soft touch, which I believe this is like a little. Yeah, this is definitely a soft touch, but it's got like this kind of it does have the carbon fiber welding thing. It's got the big M right there or whatever. But it just feels good. I'll be honest. I was like, I should buy this. This thing feels pretty good. And I could use it I don't really have the closest thing I have to it would be my little Conquest. That's only 6'6". So 6'10" would give me just a little more length. And it would probably do close to the same thing that rod, and that's like a $750 rod if you had to go buy it new. I got it cheap for cheap, $300 or whatever it was. But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. And they do make like a 7.3 medium heavy or whatever, but those mock jacked, actually the mock crush, that combo doesn't look that bad, but I would pick the jacked over the crush. And then the smash, I don't like those reel seats. But the smash, Bonsai guy, he had one of those years ago whenever we were out fishing. He had bought that, I think, when it first came out. And then I fished, there's a video you can go watch. I fished with the Mach Pro, I think it was. I haven't tried the Mach 2 or whatever, the green ones, but the Pro was like kind of gray and that chartreusey color or whatever. And actually, that was a pretty good rod. I think I was trying it for chatterbaits. It was a 7'2" or 3 or something. I don't even know if they make that one anymore. But, I mean, they're not bad combos. So, yeah. But if you're a loser, like I know a lot of you out there are losers, and you love them lose reels, I think they definitely got a winner with that guy. And I talk about it every video, and I probably will continue to talk about it. Because I'm tempted to buy a few more of these. But what I want to try first, I want to get my hands on the cheaper version. This is $279 Custom Pro Gen 3. The Gen 3 Custom is black with, I think it's got different braking, but I think everything else is the same. So I'm sure the spool will be a little different. It's got a little different braking mechanism maybe. But I think it's the same compact profile. It's probably a little heavier. But I want to see how, that reel looks and works because I see it. I want to try it out. But these reels could go on really, I would go two ways. If I was out and you're like, dude, I'm going to get high-end rods no matter what, and I don't really have a lot of money to spend on reels, there's a couple options. I wouldn't just go get the cheap junk stuff because I'm going to tell you a quick Jacob Wheeler story that I was going to tell it last night or night before. But back when I first started fishing, and I think it was because, honestly, you had to spend a little money to get pretty good reels. But nowadays, even the cheap reels aren't bad. Now, there's some junk out there still. But, you can still get, you can still come across new, old, whatever they call that, like when it's new, but it's old stock. I mean, honestly, still the old Black Maxes are still good working reels. Are they going to last forever? No. Are they plastic? Yeah. Can you put 20 pound and go flipping and pitching with them? No, probably not. Probably rip it right out of the reel seat. But just to fish with, there's still some fairly decent options on the market. But if I had to go, just tell me what to get, I want to stick with high-end rods, or should I stick with high-end reels and then just get cheaper rods, or high-end rods and go with cheaper reels? I flipped basically. I used to get reels based on how smooth they were going to be, how well they would cast, and then I would just, get, actually, because they work to this day, lightning rods. I would get lightning rods or something comparable like that, fairly cheap, $50 to $79. And I was harder on rods. I was always breaking an eye off or, doing this, doing that. It was just rougher conditions for me when I was younger. And as I got older, got into a little more, these rods can be more specific for certain things and more sensitive and all that. I've also kind of flipped to the point where I think you spend a little more money on your rod And they honestly got, if you look around, they got some of these reels out there that, get the job done 100%, and you're not spending a ton of money. But there's still something to be said for that, $200 price rod and reel that I think, I think you'll get better money for $200 on a reel and then put more money with it and get a better rod. So for example, I'm not knocking Lose or any of that, but just for example, the Lose Signature Series, good rods and all that, but like for another $100, 120 or whatever, or just under 100, you can jump into the X Prides. You can jump into like the Elite TIs. You can jump into the Dobbins, HP. Like you get a big boost from $200 to $300 to a reel. I don't think you get you got to go like even beyond that. So to really make a big jump, because there's a lot of reels out there, 179, 279. They're pretty much all the same, similarly. So what I'm saying is, like, I would rather go buy P5s or even, have a little more, come across the deal on NRXs, and then put like Tatulas or Corrados, or SLXs. The SLX, I completely glazed over that one. SLX is a perfect reel also. The Tatulas, the Corrados, like, they're going to work. They're going to work good. And there's Lose has got a few in there, probably the BB1 or a few others that are that 199. They're going to get the job done, and then you put a little more money in your rods, and especially the ones like Dobbin or the ones with warranties, and then you're set. Like you find one with the certain deals to where, I'll be honest, this right here, I love this reel, but it doesn't help me in any way perform better than what that Tatula does, what the Zillion does, what that Gold Custom Pro does, or even that noisy Hypermag does. And I'll be honest, even what this old school technology back here, if you come across these older reels, yes, it's awesome, but you're kind of just spending the money for that, a little bit of the cool bougie factor, more so than on the rod. Like this Poison Adrena, for $3 whatever. This one I got just because like I have not quite found anything that equals up to what it is. That 611 medium plus, it just does a lot of stuff. But anyway, so I've kind of just, I don't know, I flip-flopped over the years as far as what I prefer, I guess, to spend my money. As you see, I spend it on all of it. Baits. I tell you, don't buy the expensive baits, so I go out and buy not the jackhammers, but I buy the Mini Max Evos and the Evos, and I don't even need them because I've already bought $150, $200 worth of the 250 baits and that kind of stuff. But, you only live once, so that's what we've done. And we got to have content for you guys to watch. Oh, everybody's talking. Jim says he has a Dobbin Sierra 701C for BFS. Yeah, Dobbins, because a lot of you guys, some people have been asking me on what, somebody asked in the comments on another video, like $80 BFS rod, $80 BFS reel. The reels are easy. Go to AliExpress. I recommend still the Dark Wolf Ultra. Probably the best. According to Charles, you don't need to add the little neodymium magnets, but if you do, I've got a fix for that. I know how to do it. I've actually even got magnets laying around. I could, worst case scenario, send you, I believe it's 6 magnets. But Dark Wolf Ultra would be my first pick for BFS reel. Cheap, like $65 right now. They're like $62.50. But the cheapest that I did fish for a whole season with 15-pound test, throwing chatterbaits on the Carbon Light 2.0, the Solo King Acura is probably my favorite all-around reel, coming cheap from AliExpress, because you can get it with 2 spools. So you can throw, 12, 14 pound fluorocarbon on the deeper spool, throw whatever braid on the other spool, switch back and forth. You can go from BFS. Now it's the side magnets. It's not the internal like the Shimano, but it's still BFS capable, regular line capable, up to that 12 or 14. 15 was pushing it. Like if you crank down 15 pound, it's a possibility you could rip like you can any plastic reel right out of the reel seat once you get too thick a line. But it's got a drag clicker, works awesome. In that same lineup of reels is also the Black Knight 2 or the Micro Monster. I can't remember the main name of that, but the Micro Monster. And there's a newer version of the Micro Monster out too. Now, there's other BFS reels on AliExpress, but those right off the top of my head are excellent. There's also, if you can find it, a newer version of the Lingle that I believe is about the same. There's a cheap St. Croix combo at Rogers had one, and I believe I saw one at Cabela's. The St. Croix rod with the 7 reel, and that reel looks like what the newer Lingle 2 frame is, and it actually has a drag clicker, but it looks very cheap. Like it feels, it palms good, but it just looks like it's like made out of cheap materials. You know, when the frame and the thumb bar and the drag star like are all have that same material made look, you know, just that cheap plasticky look. But I believe the Lingle 2 is like that. But anyway, that's easy on rod or reels, because just like I talked about, I think if you get that and then put a little more money or a little more time thinking about which rod, the BFS reels have come so far that any of them will get the job done for like what we're throwing. Like if you want to go trout fishing with that little stuff, it's probably still the Airstream Custom when you can come across one. The Silver, oh shoot, not the Silver Wolf. I don't know. I'd still recommend either the Aldebaran from Shimano or the 2 Airstream Custom things, the Alpha, the older Alphas before they switched to the new frame, and then the newer Brown. I've had both of them. Charles actually has one or maybe both now. But those for BFS, if you want that higher end stuff. But I'll be honest, them cheap, that Dark Wolf Alter will do everything all them other ones will, in my opinion, and it's only like $65. The P, I just looked at one today when we were up at Rogers, and why they didn't put drag clicker on that, the PX whatever 70 or whatever that BFS one is. It's the same thing as the Alpha's Air that I had already had. I can't remember. I thought the Alpha's Air had a drag clicker. Maybe it didn't have a drag clicker, but the Corrado BFS is also an option. It has a drag clicker. I believe you can still get the Corrado. I know you can get a Corrado 70 for like $140 on AliExpress. You might be able to get a Corrado BFS for cheap. But you can also, if you're thinking about getting, so just let me talk about this real quick because I almost did it. The Poison Adrena, if you still have the older ones where they're not that orange little hits on it and it's still that red, Shimano makes excellent reels that match up to this. Problem is they don't make them anymore. You can find them on eBay. But they make the Scorpion DC. You can find in those colors that like more matchy to this. They make the Ingetsu, has colors that match up to Poison Adrena's excellent. And then they make Scorpion BFS that also, if you wanted, like, if you come across the older, what you call it. But if you want a new Poison Adrena, and what I should have went up there and matched them up, because the new Poison Adrenas have that kind of goldish, orangish, kind of this-ish kind of little hits on it. I think one of these reels would look good on the Poison Adrena. So you get $279 for the reel, $379, $3 whatever for the rod. You talk about that would make for an excellent combo too. Just leave the stock knobs alone, but you have to add a drag clicker. All right, I guess I got to get out of here. I have an old Lose. Jim's got all kinds of old stuff. The Lose Tournament Pro LFS. Yeah, I think Is that what the guy? They don't have up at Rogers. They don't have the custom, the regular custom. Jim says he's still using his 30-year-old G Loomis IMXs, but I do want one. Yeah, I can't remember what old, like the only real the old Loomis rods that stand out for me weren't even bait casting rods. I had an old crappie rod. I believe it was GL2. I just remember it being a solid black, and it had the solid cork with the two plastic. You pushed up the spinning reel, and then I tried not to tape it, but like guys always just taped them up there so it'd stay on. And then I had actually an 8-foot 8-weight fly rod that was a GL2. I think GL2. So it broke, and they warrantied it, but they don't make that. And when they don't make anything anymore, or they weeded out that series, they give you what is equivalent. And I want to say it was either GLX or whatever the equivalent was. It was the green rod, so it was no longer black. It was green, and they sent it to me, and I swear it was just heavier, and I just didn't like it, and so I just ended up selling it, and I got out of fly fishing, period. But yeah, Loomis warranties are definitely legit. You may have to send them 50, 80 bucks or whatever it is, but you're getting like a $500 rod. And it really doesn't matter who owned it or whenever. Like, if you want to spend that money, because in all honesty, that's probably what they have to have, so they don't technically lose out on like money on that. They've lost the sale, but to help the customers and any stuff they back their product that they sell, that's what they do, kind of thing. Oh, Jim, if you say you want to try an Arc Gravity BFS, I'm telling you right now, the Arcs aren't the cheapest way to go. So the Arc on Tackle Warehouse or wherever you're going to find them is actually this very same reels that you can go on AliExpress, and they're called the Hybo Arise reels. Now you can go look, but they're the same as these, and they're going to be. I think they're cheaper if you go on AliExpress, but I'm not telling you if you like them, buy them. But like this reel, I don't even talk about it hardly anymore. I want to say these are 150. I think the little one, though, there's one with the blue spool or something. I think it's cheaper. This is supposedly I think, still the highest end one. It's the Arise Elite, wherever I can find that at. Let me see. Yeah, the Habo 80 Elite HG. But this BFS reel, and that's the Kind Tet 6'6" I was telling you about. This is a very awesome combo that just sets, because I'm out of BFS right at the moment. All the BFS videos you guys are watching are like years ago. Me and Charles, 3 years ago, probably, maybe close to 4 now, is when we kind of started. We got into swim baiting 2+ years ago. I mean, we still throw BFS. I kind of carry it around. I kind of try to use it as a backup. So like where you would normally, a spinning rod guy would normally, have shaky head on this and a drop shot or whatever on spinning gear. I try to keep my BFS stuff sitting around, and I just got test casting jigs on it right now. But, with, Zinkers, with a TRD or something to just basically a backup when, even if something, hit it, whether it be on a buzzbait, spinnerbait, chatterbait, square bill or something, like, oh, there's one cast back. Oh, nothing here. Throw soft plastic in there, and it's always funner if you can get them on like a BFS type deal. But that's really the only way, probably in about a year, that I've done that. You can go back and watch the old videos when we literally went just creeking, little creek stream hunting for the little fish. And I've still got several rods that can do that. I've actually still got several reels. The one I just showed you, this little reel, is plenty capable of doing that kind of stuff. This is probably the OG best one you can get. But yeah, it's just not really doing that. I'm into this mess. I'm actually so far in it late tonight. I'm just going to be putting all this stuff covering it up, and then I got to get on it tomorrow and get ready to go. Oh, here's another thing I want to test out. These little, I call them like little mini micro mop jigs. So they're just a 1/4 ounce, but look at all that. So these have got to hover somewhat. Like these are not going to sink fast. So when I'm just trying to keep a bait, because we're in that super shallow water right at the moment kind of thing, and it's still kind of cold, so you don't want to go too fast. And so get a little finessey kind of deal. All kinds of stuff we're going to be trying out. But yeah, just look into the Hybo Arise and compare those with the ARC reels before you, if you know, I don't know if you want to buy anything from China until you figure out what these tariff deals are going to be, whatever. I don't get into all that. I just look on AliExpress. I will look on Amazon. I will look on Tackle Warehouse. I don't hardly ever go to Bass Pro or Cabela's because their websites are so freaking slow and weird and the way they go. I'll just go there in person, like Rogers Sporting Goods, the Bass Pro, which is the closest place to me. But I got into it with the lady that works there, so I don't know if I'll be going back. It's kind of like Wendy's. I went through a Wendy's drive-thru, and the lady asked me if I could be quiet, please. And I was like, I banned myself from Wendy's for 15 years, probably. True story. I go back there now occasionally, but I don't really like Wendy's anymore. So no offense if your name's Wendy, but I don't like Wendy's anymore. The food place, not the people. All right, guys, I got to go. I got to get out of here. I got to finish this fireball, and I got to go up there and edit a video. You're going to be seeing a video on spinnerbaits. It is a long one. I just threw it all. It was basically all the footage I had of trying 4 different rod and reels and with several different spinnerbaits and just me talking like I am right now while I was casting and testing and talking about it. And that's what you're going to see tomorrow. And then I'll get out fishing, and we'll actually hopefully see some giants. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in the works. BFS is like the last couple of years got hot and heavy, but I've probably been doing it 6 or 8 years now. And I'm not saying it's like old school. It's, it's old news to me, but it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel you got to be ahead of the game. So there's nothing wrong if you've never had BFS and you definitely need some BFS stuff. I think, because I don't have any spinning stuff. For those of you that are new, you're just like, well, what do you do for this? I have all bait casting gear. So if I need to go that low, honestly, the Steez shallow spools, this newest Steez, that orange lures, even this Tatula will throw pretty much low weight stuff. But then if I do need to go lower than that, I've got a few options. I've even got a BFS spool I could put in the Zillion, or I've got this. You guys, or maybe you guys still haven't, the brand new guys haven't seen the Joker, which is that dude right there. But the Joker he's just sitting there ready. He's sitting there on this feeling rod. I would recommend this, but you can't get it anymore on AliExpress. It shows it, but it shows it out of stock. The feeling is a very 6'8", probably I'd call it a light rod. Excellent. This is an excellent combo for all around everything. That's a single lifestyle handle. And no, I don't. I make them myself, and I don't sell them, and I cook them. I barely even fish them anymore. But anyway, gotta go, guys. Thanks for watching. Get out. I just saw something. I got to try this guy out too. Figure out why I kept getting hung up, because I got to compare this dirty jigs with this dirty jigs. And I lost the other Matt's Mix-Up dirty jigs because it hung up, and then this one's hanging up. Just another test I got to do. All right. See you guys later.